Hi everyone and welcome. And today I have the absolute pleasure of introducing Dianne Ellis. And Dianne is a health coach. She's studied extensively the emotional, genetic and environmental connections to physical illness. So yeah, I'm just so happy to have you on today, Di.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And Di is an expert in mind-body healing. So she has an intricate understanding of how stress and hidden pathogens, which I'm really interested in hearing more about, and how experiences, how they can shape our whole self and our well-being. Di is a genome healing and breathwork practitioner, a Psych K facilitator, a health coach, and a radio host. So there's just so much experience that I'm hoping to draw out today, Di.
Thank you, Christy.
That's okay. And so also for those listening, she's had quite the journey and she's had to overcome her own ill health and trauma to get where she is today. And she's really well placed to assist everyone listening just to lead an enriched life, which is basically what I'm all about. You know, how do we create that change and get that momentum in our life to heal ourselves and to continue to grow? So Di, thank you so much for being here today.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me, and I can't wait to chat more. And I feel like a volcano ready to burst because there's so many things that I do want to share, and
Love it.
this is just an amazing opportunity because the work you're doing is really in line with what I've been doing as well. So
Yeah,
fantastic.
it's incredible how aligned it is. And I'm finding that with most of the people I get on, I don't even realize, I just think, oh, they're doing great work. And I get them on and I'm like, wow, we're all kind of thinking the same thing. And there's a lot of we're all moving in the same direction. And I love the power of that. I really, really love it.
Absolutely.
Do you mind if I just share how we met just briefly?
Go for it.
So we met, I'd say probably just over a year ago now. It was through the Eastern Business Network Group, which is a fabulous group of business owners and predominantly entrepreneurs who come together and we basically share our experiences and our knowledge and we support each other in our business growth. And I met Di there and I've seen her present a few times and run workshops. She's come in with her flyers and different information. And I've heard you talk about a number of different things now. And I just absolutely fascinated with the work that you're doing. And I can see, I mean, clearly there's so much potential in it. So just wanted to share you and get your thoughts on a few of the key topics that we're going to talk about today, because I think the more open-minded we can be to healing and growth and potential and creating change in our life, because we're all unique, so different things going to work with different people, right? So the more sort of flavors and different people I can get in to talk and speak and share, the more power to us all, really.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what I've found with the work that I do, is that everyone is individual and unique. And so just sort of having those different options and different ways that we can go, but also a bit of a roadmap and a few basics are really good too. So
Yeah, love it. And so you have had quite the journey. I have heard you speak of your journey a couple of times, and I guess it'd be really good place to start just to hear a little bit about, you know, where you've come from, where you are now, like what's led you to do the work that you do. Do you think that's a good place to start?
absolutely.
Right.
Well, a lot of what's really pushed me to work on the health side of things is my own health. I've had a lot of chronic illness throughout my life and some life-threatening illness as well. But that's also led to, well, a few things have led to going back to dealing with some grief early on in my life. And I really began to notice a real connection between the emotional traumas that I had when I was young and my physical illnesses that I was experiencing now.
Yeah.
And it's a bit hard to understand how can that affect your physical health right now. But what I began to do, luckily, when I was about maybe 28 or so, 29, just after my first daughter was born, I knew I had a lot of grief and trauma because I was adopted, and then my adopted mother died when I was 3.5. And then my stepmother, my dad remarried when I was about 5 or 6, and she'd had some mental health problems. Like every couple of years, she'd go in and have shock therapy, and that was quite traumatic going into the hospital.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a really tough
Yeah.
child. Yeah.
Yeah, and so we'd go into the hospital every couple of years. She'd be in there for, I don't know, maybe it was a couple of weeks or a month, and everyone walking around like zombies. Just they'd had shock treatment, and it was really traumatic. And so for me, becoming a mother, it was, straight away it was opening up a lot of wounds.
Right.
But I'd also had, a lot of asthma and allergies. Always when I got a flu, I would have really bad chest infections and be off to the hospital with asthma, having to get asthma drugs and all that. And then 19, I had chronic fatigue, like really badly. Although I'd had the asthma as a child, I was very active, and my saviour was running down the park and playing sports and in nature, swimming in the creek and all that sort of thing. And so I sort of put all that trauma, out of my mind and connected with nature and friends and had a lot of fun. But yeah, the chronic fatigue at 19 really wiped me out. I was bedridden for quite a while, and then I changed direction a bit. I got more healthy and started to look into a few more alternatives. And then when I fell pregnant at 25, 26, I actually chose to have a home birth. And that was really wonderful. I had a beautiful midwife who, she supported, it was really good support. And then I went more natural therapies and learned about more natural things, more self-empowerment through that mode. And then my second daughter, another home birth as well. And then there was a couple of years later, so my early 30s, I had a filling in my tooth, and I didn't know, but at the time the tooth died, and actually there was an abscess that was forming, and it was doing things in my body that I started getting these weird neurological symptoms, like tingling in my fingers and my feet, and thinking I was getting MS or something like that, but I didn't know what was happening. And then, but I was, I still had the underlying chronic fatigue, and I had these other weird things. I had back problems, but I just, you just keep pushing through and you keep going.
It's all we know.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And then it was about 11 years ago, I got bitten by ticks, and I got extremely sick and nearly died. I was seeing doctors and in hospital over a 6-month period, and ended up in hospital for a week. And I was actually about 12 kilos lighter than I am now, and I'm slim already.
Wow. Yeah.
And I nearly died. It was very touch and go, and you wouldn't believe it, but a simple mug of alfalfa leaf tea morning and night before breakfast and dinner literally saved my life. The next day, I felt like I had a football under my ribs, and later that day I had the runs, and I knew my liver was flushing out. The naturopath said to me, luckily I'd seen a lot of practitioners and doctors, and and no one was really able to help, but thankfully this naturopath, she said, we need to cleanse your liver. And because what happens is things like with parasites, viruses, bacteria, they can congest in the liver, and nothing was showing up in my blood test. But as soon as I did that cleanse, the doctor was freaking out saying, we need a biopsy, we need an ultrasound. And I thought, no, I couldn't bear all that stuff. I said, I'm actually getting better. Like, it's been 6 months and nothing was showing up, because it was all flushing out. It was like with our car, we always change the oil filters and have a service. And I have to say that is one of the most important things that I think everyone should do. All of my food allergies disappeared. My milk allergies, which I now know had caused all my asthma through my childhood, disappeared. I can have milkshakes. I mean, I try and do the organic and biodynamic sort of thing, and because you don't want all the extra hormones in the milk. And so that's, and my house dust allergy mites, all my allergies disappeared. And this is one of the doctors that I have since found out about, Dr. Clark. She says everyone needs to cleanse their liver. A lot of things, it's connected to thyroid, the hormonal system, the digestive.
I just did a liver cleanse about a month ago. I did a 9-day, Anthony Williams, the medical medium. Have you seen his work?
I have seen a little bit, not.
So it's very much, celery juice, but it's all plant and veg. It was plant, fruit and veg, and cut out everything else. It was quite strict. I didn't find it nearly as difficult as I thought I would, though.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, really, really deep cleanse. So that was over 9 days, and it was quite strict. You know, you had to follow and cook certain things and have things in different order and that. But
How did you feel afterwards?
feel great.
Yeah.
Definitely flushed my system without question. I
Mm.
felt really energized in the beginning. I had no craving for meat, which really surprised me because I quite like my meat.
Yeah.
And even after I finished, I thought, oh my God, I'm going to eat, no, I didn't even eat meat for the next few days because I just didn't feel like I was fully nourished. I didn't
Mm.
have cravings. I had everything I needed. So it was actually
Yeah.
a bit of a game changer for me.
Yeah, fantastic.
Mm,
Good. Yeah.
mm, yeah.
Yeah, so then, and then after that, for the next, well, it's been nearly 10 years, 10, 11 years, I ended up well, I did finally, after a few years, got a diagnosis of Lyme disease with a molecular biologist in America, who's a Lyme specialist, herbalist, homeopath, and nutritionist. And then I find that she was also treating me for cancer, which at the time I'd chosen not to have invasive testing, but I had a spot on my back, and one thing led to another, and we realised that that was probably what was going on. And then thermal imaging confirmed, 2016, thermal imaging confirmed both breasts had abnormalities through my spine, but it all had come down from this hidden tooth infection.
Wow.
And you could see in the thermal imaging, it was mostly down the right side, my back, my spine. I was actually having tearing feelings in my back and tingling in my feet. And for a few years there, it was really concerning.
Mm.
Somehow, because I'd already nearly died from the Lyme disease, and I knew that I was improving from the Lyme disease treatments, because what I've found is that the underlying cause of most disease and illness is toxins, viruses, parasites, and bacteria, and our immune system not working properly. And of course, there's the emotional connection.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I was working on all of those, and especially with the Lyme disease, because I had so much pain in my body that I could feel every remedy or treatment that I was trying. I could feel the effect that it would have on me, and I could feel things working in my back and my spine where I had the problems. If I took a remedy, I could often feel it whether it was working or not. And it was very interesting, actually.
Well, it's
And
fascinating. And that's testament to the work that you've done to have that, because this is what happens when we do the work. And it is just practice,
yes,
because it
yes,
might sound foreign to a lot of people listening. But the more we tune in and the more we engage and the more we link everything and the more we have awareness and because our bodies talk to us. I say this nearly every time.
absolutely.
Our bodies talk to us. We need
Yes,
to listen.
yes,
We need to listen.
absolutely. And
Yeah.
you know
So
what? And you know what? Your self-directed
directed
healing,
healing.
your self-directed healing is exactly the type of process that has actually led me to each breakthrough that I've had with my physical healing. Because
Yeah.
when the doctors were saying that, there's nothing wrong with you, you've got anxiety, I'd already done a lot of work. After my daughters were born, I'd done so much healing and breath work and very, very deep inner work around the trauma from when I was young. So when they said you've got anxiety, I thought, hang on a minute, I've done all this work. This is different. I knew it was different. But at the same time, often when I couldn't find a remedy or treatment that was helping me, then I thought, I believed in, I'd experienced little miracles in the work that I'd done earlier in my breath work and different practices. And I thought, well, I believe in that work. So why can't I just magically heal myself? Why can't I do the mind body therapy why can't I just recreate my own reality and my physical body just heal these spontaneous healings that I have read of many people? And so I kept doing this, listening to my body. I would often lie down and just tune in to, if there was either an emotion that was kept coming up and bothering me, anything in my life. So I would tune in and think, where do I feel that in my body? or the physical illness that I was having. If I had pain in my body, I would just tune into that and I would try and listen to it, exactly like you've
That's
been.
exactly what I do with the self-directed healing.
Yeah. And so then
And
I
so
would
what
just
do you call that practice? Because
well,
you
for
don't call it
me,
self-directed healing, do you?
no. I've sort of learnt to do that in the breath work
Right.
that I originally did about 25 years ago, but it was a little bit different to traditional breath work. I mean, there's so many different varieties of it, but that's where I really learnt to do it. Quite a while ago, and so just listening to the body, and often there would be an emotion or a feeling, and sometimes, like, I don't think everyone needs to do the intensive going back in time like I did. Like, I know it sounds a bit
I
bizarre.
agree.
Yeah.
I actually can, I factually can say that I have clients that come in and we don't do that, and they have
Yes.
incredible results
Yes.
in
That's
shifting through.
yes. Yes.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing, I
It's
think,
almost,
to say.
it's like, what are the limiting beliefs that came out of that event? Let's work with them.
Yeah. Yeah. And what you're saying with the self-directed healing, listening to the body, because our body holds the cellular memory.
Mm.
Whereas if we try and think in our mind, oh, that happened to me, I need to go and deal with that, it might not be what's actually holding us back. And we may be opening a can of worms that's only going to trigger the hurt that didn't need to be activated.
Mm.
But if we listen to the body, if we've got a sick feeling in our belly or a sore shoulder, it's like, okay, what's this energetic charge in the cells and what's it trying to tell me?
Yeah.
Or even if you don't make sense of what it's telling you, as long as you just acknowledge the feeling and, like you've said, let it shift.
Mm.
That's when you get the energetic charge in the cells, the blocked energy shifts, and that's the transformation.
Yeah, love it, love it.
Yeah.
And so the work that you're doing, like when it comes to creating change for your clients and for yourself, what would you say, what have you found to be the most challenging things for people?
I think probably one of the most challenging on the physical and the emotional side is surrender, because we are often, I mean, I find it still hard. I mean, I've done years of the deepest therapy, um, really deep therapy, and I still find it hard to surrender sometimes. There's something, like my partner, he hasn't done. I mean, he's done a bit with me, and he's really, he's really opened up to things, but he was really not into that sort of thing. And it was funny because the beginning of COVID, this was just the ultimate. Something was happening. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I was so mad. I was really angry, and I was just trying to. I can't think what it was, but I remember he said to me, "Do you need to work on this?" and but I was so angry. It was like I knew in my mind I needed to, but I was so angry. I just sat there with my eyes closed because I didn't want to jump down his throat. But it was this. I mean, see, my adopted mother who died, she actually died from hepatitis, and they didn't know how she got it. She was a full-time stay-at-home mum. She was a lot older. She'd had two older children. My adopted parents had, and so the last time I saw her was when I was 3.5 at the hospital, and I was on the other side of the glass wall looking into her in isolation.
Right.
So this whole COVID thing, it was like I've done so much therapy, but it was bringing up another level, another layer, where I was seeing in our whole world people being forced into isolation, medical treatments people weren't able to access, or not able to have this treatment. And so I was just like, yeah, a lot of emotion was happening. And but this particular instance, I can't remember exactly what set it off, but he said to me, "Do you need to work on this?" And I sat with it, and he asked me a couple of times, and then I said, "I'm doing it." And then, but you know what was bizarre? What happened was, and this is what I think that is another really important point for people, is that it's those things that happen in our lives that trigger us. When we can surrender to them, they have little gifts in them where they can help us access deeper parts of ourselves if we can surrender to it. So
Yeah.
so
And
even then, I didn't want to feel how angry and how these horrible feelings within me, but I knew I had to surrender, and so I just sat with it. And oh, I've actually written it in my book, but I've just had so many things that I remember just sitting with it, and after a while, I had this strange sensation around the third eye, and I'm not really a big one in chakras and third eyes, and I'm more of a grounded, but I mean I absolutely believe in all that, and I know that it happens, but I was feeling this weird sensation, and then I suddenly realized I was feeling it and became aware of it, and I thought, and it was a really nice sensation,
okay.
and I thought, is this what people talk about when they talk about their third eye? and and I don't know but afterwards I just felt really good, and it was like, wow, and it didn't make sense, but I felt really good and just thought, okay, that's done. On we go to the next thing. Let's get on
Yeah.
with living
And
life.
but it makes absolute sense to me. I mean, the what was going on with COVID has triggered, because the thing is with grief, we can deal with our grief, but it doesn't actually go away. When we lose someone that we've loved, events will trigger it from time to time. And when you try to resist something, that's when you stay stuck in it. And that's when it actually gets bigger. But because
Yes,
you've allowed yourself to actually go in and allowed yourself to feel it, what happens is once we feel it, which is what's come up here, is it releases, it energetically shifts and it
absolutely.
moves, because it's not, well, in my world, I'm not sure what your, actually I'd be interested in your thoughts, is that it's not actually possible to hold an emotion for an extended period of time. Once you allow yourself to feel it, it shifts to something else. And so when emotions get trapped and they build up, that's when it can become what I call a mood. So anxiety, depression, fatigue, whatever, something else. But the actual emotion, the bare emotion itself, the anger, the sadness, the jealousy, whatever it happens to be that you're feeling, once you allow yourself to feel it and you surrender to it, it will shift. It will
Absolutely.
shift.
Yeah, I think that's the with all of the work that I've done, all of the mind body work, all of the well, I mean, I think we do still need to treat, medicine, and natural medicine is very valuable, but the underlying key to all of it is exactly that, what you've just said.
Yeah, of course. And of course medicine has a place, and look, and I'm no medical practitioner, and
Yeah.
but I kind of think of, medicine is, you need that when there's an accident or a body injury or something like
Mm.
that. But
Yeah.
I think, even the Center for Disease Control in the States states that 85% of disease is caused by emotions. And
Yeah.
so we need to feel the emotions, we need to process the emotions. We don't
Yeah.
necessarily need medication. I'm not saying no one needs medication. That's not what I'm
Yeah.
saying at all.
Yeah.
But I'm saying there are other possibilities and there are other things that people should be exploring. And there's so
Yeah.
much research and data and statistics around this today, and there's so much
Mm.
power in it.
Absolutely.
And
One
so,
thing one thing that I did, what I was gonna say before is that every time that I was sort of feeling stuck and I wasn't finding the answers for my health, I'd do those in listening to my body and really trying to think, okay, what do I need to know? What's happening? And try and listen to my body. And often there would be a shift with something, some way or another. And then a remedy or a treatment or a practitioner would just happen to turn up in my life. And
right.
so, yeah, it was quite bizarre and miraculous. It's to the point where that's just too bizarre to be just a coincidence.
Mm,
And so I definitely believe in we do have a deeper power that we're actually tuning into as well. And
yeah.
when we shift that energy, that frequency, what we need comes to us. And
Absolutely. Yeah, because what we
yes,
focus on, where our focus goes and our perception and that sort of thing, it kind of, that's what we find, that's what we see. It's like when the student is ready, the teacher appears.
yeah, it's so true. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
that's where the surrender comes in. So when we surrender to where life's taking us or whatever the feelings are and allow that, then we get the wisdom coming in. Because if we're trying to work it out, we're trying to think, we're trying to keep it the way we think we should keep it, we're not really surrendering to that universal guidance or the inner wisdom. Yeah.
yeah, totally. I love what you're saying. And so you've just written a book.
I have. I've got it here somewhere, but I'm giving it. Oh, it's funny. I thought I had it sitting here, but it's actually the picture on the screen. But I did have it here anyway. Um, yes, it's basically. I wrote a book originally, Quantum Health, which is the whole story of my journey. Which I've had, well, you've heard the beginning part of it, and the home births, and there's been a few other aspects like a shark attack and a few, think, oh, what have I done? How have I brought this all into my life? But it's been quite a journey. And so that was a bit of a story. So I wrote that. And then, describing also how all those experiences and the things that I've learned have interacted with my physical health.
Mm.
And so I wrote that original book. And then with all this COVID happening, I thought, well, all the methods that I've found to kill viruses, parasites, and bacteria, well, I searched up all my doctors that have really helped me, some international doctors and a few local people, and I've basically brought all that information, the most vital information for that we can basically, some things we can do ourselves, or some, like even like zinc and I've got it here from a talk I was doing, some green tea, because green tea or grapefruit, grape juice, black grape juice, they're ionophores, so they basically help carry zinc into the cells, and that's what hydroxychloroquine. So a lot of this talk about hydroxychloroquine and COVID, well, the hydroxychloroquine carries the zinc into the cells. So the green tea and the zinc, that does the same thing in a natural way. It could be a little bit of a preventative. So all those sorts of tips and recommendations from the doctors that have really helped me, I've brought them all together into the book. So it's not advice, it's just a guide for people to be able to access a lot of information very quickly that's really powerful, and simple oxidative therapies, because things like ozone, hydrogen peroxide, this is another vital point. The Orthomolecular Society, International Orthomolecular Society, and also there's a Dr. Joseph McCullough, they're saying that hydrogen peroxide from the pharmacies, no prescription required, will kill COVID almost immediately. And in a nebulizer, so everyone can buy a nebulizer and hydrogen peroxide. If you start to get a bit of a sore throat or a cough, you can just do the nebulizer at their recommended dosages. And they're saying that's one of the very best treatments that anyone can have. And so there's a lot of little tips like that and references where people can go for that sort of information. So that's the first part is COVID. The second part is all the different illnesses and conditions that I've overcome, and all the different, so it's really quite extensive, the different treatments that I've used and how they work and the processes that happen.
Yeah, I mean, I had a look because you've only just finished it, haven't you?
Yes,
Hot off the press. I
yes.
had a quick look before I spoke to you today because I was really interested in the work that you're doing, and I was actually really impressed, and it made me think of Louise Hay, like how she has, How to Heal Your Life, and then she has different ailments and then all different causes and remedies, and it was all linked in. Like, it's actually a fabulous resource. So congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. It actually really, it is a life's work. Both I do put in there, I particularly put all the simple things, like natural home remedies, like bicarb soda is so amazing for many things, and cancerous areas in my body. You could see in thermal imaging that some areas were completely resolved simply after 6 months of only bicarb soda.
Mm.
Things like that, why doesn't everybody know this? I have to tell the world. And, zinc is often linked to depression. It's one of the leading causes of depression,
Wow.
especially in postnatal and teenagers. And boys who begin ejaculating and girls who just go into menstruation. Those hormonal changes, they can often lead to low zinc. And the best thing any parents with teenage kids with depression, just go to the chemist, grab a zinc tablet, give them one a day and see how it goes. It's worth, so there's a lot of those types of things in the
I love
book.
it. And I think that's what appealed to me so much when I met you, because I remember you talking about the bicarb soda for parasites and how it can, anxiety, and with different things, how different things can trigger anxiety, and try this. And I love the approach, because why would you not
Yeah.
try bicarb soda? Why would you not go
Yes.
and get a zinc tablet? Like,
Yes.
what have you
It's
got
so
to
simple.
lose? Honestly,
Exactly.
why would you not? Was
Exactly.
it alfalfa tea or something you
Yeah.
said?
Yes.
Green
Yes.
tea? Like,
Yeah.
guys, like,
Yeah.
why would you
Yeah.
not? What have you got
Absolutely.
to lose?
Yes. Yeah.
And it
And the
works,
thing,
and you've got the results.
exactly.
Mm,
Exactly. And it's just so simple. And
mm.
it could just be the key that's missing that people don't have. And so, yeah.
Yeah, and I know you've been very humble in this interview, but I know that you've treated thousands of people.
Well,
I
no, I don't treat, I just
worked
guide.
with.
Yes.
Thank you.
So
But I
I
do
don't,
know
yeah.
that
Sorry, I
you had
don't
a
give it,
massive
yeah.
impact with your work, and that you're not just talking about how it's affected yourself. You've seen this working over
Yes.
and over and over again, and it is getting results.
Yes. And the thing is with the Lyme disease is that it can be so debilitating, and it can create so much pain that you don't want to put up with symptoms. And so you will do whatever you have to do to find the answers to get over it. And so I really did search deep and far and wide, and I had connections with thousands of people around the world, and we were able to work together and share different remedies and treatments. And I found out about, like, even one of the simple is just a little tester I've got here. This is a cream, a GCMAF protein. It's high in mammalian mother's milk, so the first milk colostrum. And you can actually make your own if you make some yogurt, fermenting some yogurt, get some good organic milk, or milk kefir, and add a teaspoon of colostrum, and it makes a very high GCMAF protein, which it's a protein our body makes naturally, and it will upload vitamin D and activate our macrophages, our white blood cells. And if you research this, you can actually see that it's used as a cancer therapy, and I actually had Herxheimer reactions, and a lot of people do, where that is, if you have any pathogens in the body, parasites, viruses, bacteria, and you take an antibiotic or antimicrobial, you have a reaction when the pathogens are being killed off. Well, this cream, this GCMAF, just a little dab on my neck, it actually fired up my immune system so much that I could actually feel a big Herxheimer reaction when my own immune system fired up so much and was going around killing all the pathogens, and in the abnormalities in my back and breasts. And so,
So
and that's,
powerful.
yeah, a lot of people, they have a similar thing, and some people can only have a pinprick. It just works so well, and it actually repairs our own immune system and helps it get back online, and then we might not need to take it so much anymore.
Love it.
So,
Love
yeah,
it. Love it. Thank you for sharing that. And so, is there anything else you want to share? I'm just
I
opening
think,
the floor to you right now.
yes, yeah. The fear. I think everything that's happening at the moment with COVID, um, there's there's so many aspects to everything. There's, of course, the fear of the illness itself. I mean, a lot of people, it's just a cold or a flu, and it's not bad, but obviously some people it's very serious, the elderly or immune compromised. Um, but there are definitely a lot of things that we can use to protect ourselves, and I have brought together as many of those options as I could in my book, and links to, you know, the Orthomolecular Society and different doctors who have been working with this really well. And the simple, so taking away the fear when we do our research to empower ourselves to have solutions or methods to do, you know, then we can relax a little bit and not feel powerless, like we're, you know, nothing we can do. So that can sort of alleviate, you know, get the hydrogen peroxide and the nebulizer and just feel a little bit more comfortable. If something did happen, I've got an option. And of course, you know, see your health practitioners, you know, health professionals as well. So that just gives you an option to relax a bit that side. So, but then there's also the, you know, people have lost their businesses and just the whole what's happening in our societies, the whole change and that fear of the unknown of what's happening. Well, like with your, sorry, what's it called?
Self-directed healing.
Self-directed healing. With your self-directed healing, really just feel, okay, if you're feeling a bit overwhelmed with the fear, where is that fear? Because use the fear to access another part of yourself. And I absolutely believe this 100%. With everything that I've experienced with the Lyme disease, and I nearly died. I've had a shark attack, and it didn't actually bite me. It broke my board in half. The things that I've experienced, I so trust and believe in the universe that we do have, whether you believe in God or you know, just a divine energy. If when we surrender to whatever's happening in our lives and feel within ourselves and be guided, you know, with our inner tuition or higher self, I really, you know, I've actually. I guess we're nearly running out of time, and I have to finish on something very amazing that you know, I've talked about losing my adopted mother and what have you, and my partner, when I met him, I won't go into the full story, but it's quite miraculous because his mother had actually given up a child for adoption. She was about my age, and my birth mother was actually from New Zealand, from Auckland. His mum was from Auckland, and we met in New South Wales here in Australia. And she's like my spiritual mother. We tell each other every day how much we love each other.
Oh, how beautiful.
It's just the names. There's dates. It's like I've literally been put into a new parallel world, and my life is just filled with so much love and support. I just couldn't have dreamt, I couldn't have planned. If I'd have wanted to plan it to be so wonderful, I wouldn't have thought that it could be. I thought it would be, because I was single for 13 years, and a lot of that time I was unwell, and I just knew that I couldn't hold a relationship. And like a single mum, and like all my energy just went into being a mum. And
trying to be well.
yes, exactly. Yes, trying to live every day, because I did have about 6 years or so where it was just like, what do I do today to get through to be here tomorrow? And so for me to think that I would even be in another relationship seemed like a bit of a dream. But then to meet someone who his mum was like she's just natural, and she says from the day we met, it just felt like she's my mum. And
beautiful.
And a lot of these types of experiences that I've had, it just makes me realize that even if people are having a really horrible time through this COVID, whether it's their business, whether it's, you know, health or whatever it is, I mean, it is horrible at the time when you're going through things, but as much as you can, make changes in your daily life. But then what you can't change, surrender and try and, you know, get that shift in the energy, try and find a deeper meaning or purpose. And it's not with trying harder, it's more with surrendering and allowing the feelings and, you know, trusting in the universe that
and I love that your story's kind of done this full circle. And for anyone out there listening that, you know, is really struggling with some chronic illnesses and things going on in their life, just really tap into some of this stuff. Just do little things. Just anything that you can do is going to be better, and just celebrate those little wins. And it's nice to
Yeah,
see someone, you've done that full circle and come out the other end, and it's totally
yeah,
possible. Because I think
absolutely.
when I think it, a lot of people can just give up,
Yes, yes,
and sometimes that
yeah,
might seem the easy option, but that's not the
yeah,
easy option. All that's doing is keeping you stuck for longer.
yeah.
So,
And
hats
there
off to you.
definitely,
Mm,
thank you. And there definitely are options. There's, both on the mental, emotional, and the physical.
mm.
It's just finding them. And so, that's a lot of why I wrote the book. Like, actually, when I was really seriously ill, I was seeing this naturopath every day, and I was away from home, and she would actually sit with me every day and hold my hands and pray with me, and that I would get through. And then she said, "You're going to get through this." And I'm going to get teary now. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
she said, "And you're going to go on to help other people." And and so that was always my, um, yeah. So that's,
Our biggest pain can become our power, can't it?
yes.
We can use
Oh,
use
absolutely.
that to help others. And
Yeah.
so thank you so much for sharing your story today. Do you want to just mention how we can get access to your book and how we can
Yeah.
find you? So is it fair to say that you predominantly work with clients with chronic illnesses?
Chronic illness, or mental emotional problems as
Right.
well, if there's
Yeah.
anything really happening. And often I can really help people to determine, because often anxiety, there could be pathogens in their nervous system, or there could have been an emotional trauma. And I can often sort of pinpoint with people, I can often work out from their symptoms or what they're feeling or what's going on. Hang on, I think you need to probably focus on the pathogens, and maybe seeing a naturopath, or trying, this sort of protocol. And whereas, or if it's emotional thing, then I can, because I am, what I can actually provide, I'm a breathwork practitioner, genome healing, and Psych K. So I can do the mind body side of things. And then if there is something going on physically, then I can refer them and say, look, this was what really helped me. Maybe
Mm,
that would be really good for you. And I
right.
can recognize which way they might need to go. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But my
And
book,
so, yeah.
my it's just available as a PDF download right on the homepage of my
It's
website.
free, guys.
Yes.
Free. She's giving away her life's work free.
It is. It really is my life's
Thank
work.
you.
It was a bit hard to just give it away, but I just feel as though, what you give comes back to you.
Feels like the
And
right thing to do. Such a
yes,
beautiful soul, such a
and
beautiful person.
so many people needing answers at the moment.
Mm.
So my website, Dianne Ellis, DIANNEELLIS.com.au, and you just click on the picture. Oh, I can't believe I haven't got it in front of me, but it's, yes, I do. I knew it was here. Got too many things. Glad you can't see my. It's just like that. Surviving the pandemic and thriving,
Beautiful.
and you just click on the picture and you get the download for the PDF.
Yep, I've already downloaded mine.
Fantastic.
I've got a girlfriend that's recently been diagnosed with cancer, so I'll send that on to her.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Mm.
Like you said, there's a condition, and then there's all the different things that I've done to that have been most helpful for that
Yeah,
condition.
yeah.
So
And I know people,
yes,
my brother's got asthma, so I'll be try this.
yeah, yeah. Well, often Dr. Clark says it's often Ascaris parasites in the lungs.
Yeah.
So yeah, simple things to try.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thank you so much. It's been awesome having you on today, and I can't wait to share you with everybody. And just keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you, Christy, and your work is fantastic. It's
Thank you.
really great.
Thank
Yeah,
you. Yeah. We'll change those lives and get everyone living better lives, and that's what it's all about.
absolutely.
It's about empowering ourselves to be better,
Yes.
because we
Yeah.
totally there's so much that's available to us, especially in this day and age. There's so much resource, and
Absolutely. Yeah.
People, great people, you know, like yourself, just available with so much knowledge and so much lived experience that can really talk to different things that are going on in our bodies, in our minds. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
thank you.
Thank you, Christy.
Bye bye.
Bye.